Welcome to the Busy to Balance podcast. I am your host, Jamie Zweer, and I'm the founder of Oh How Healthy. This podcast is all about how to show you, the overworked, overwhelmed, and occasionally unhealthy woman, how to find health and balance in all different areas of your life. I will share with you digestible, bite-sized bits of info on everything from balancing a healthy plate to keeping a healthy home and everything in between. Now listen, I know that you are busy, and that is why I will keep these episodes short, sweet, and to the point. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Busy to Balance podcast by your host, Jamie Zweer. I hope that we've all had the pleasure of meeting before. And if not, I really want to get to know you. I want to get to know my listeners, who you are, where you're from. If you haven't already, please go and join the Busy to Balance group for women on Facebook. And it's just a group to continue the conversation after the podcast. If you have any questions for me, it's a group where I go and I share grocery hauls that I do. It's a post where I share motivational tips and where, you girls can actually connect with one another. So to prove that we're not in this alone. So that's really a fun way for us all to connect. And then if you don't have Facebook, if you have Instagram, hopefully you're on one of the social media platforms. My handle is Oh How Healthy, and send me a message, send me a DM, say hello. I would love to get to know you. That's really part of my mission, is really bringing women together and getting to know you, because yes, this is my podcast, and yes, I love sharing this information, but what I love even more than that is community and coming together. Just this past weekend, I had a launch party for my cookbook, and it was so nice to have gotten to meet some of you women who said that you listen to the podcast or you follow me on one of the social media platforms and you actually came out to see me. One woman traveled from about an hour away, and it really just means the world to me. And I don't want that to go unnoticed. I really want to get us all together, to come together as one community. So that is that. If you haven't already, hop on into that group or find one of my social media outlets, or just email me, jamie@ohhowhealthy.com. Say hello. So anyway, this podcast is getting recorded after a weekend, a rather long weekend. I had my brother's wedding this weekend, and then I also had my launch party the day after on Sunday. So this podcast is going to talk about what I ate at the wedding, what did I drink, did I not drink, and so I'm just sharing some tips that I've incorporated and done to have been able to do those big tasks and, get my stuff together for the week. So I hope that this is enjoyable to you, and let me know if you want to leave a rating or review. That is very much appreciated. And I know that you're liking the show, and I know that you're liking certain episodes by leaving ratings and reviews. And yeah, it helps tremendously. So let's dive into today's episode. Hey everyone. All right. So this weekend was a long weekend. It was a fun weekend. And I just wanted to share some tips and tricks that I did to really make it through as healthy as possible. So what do I mean by that is I just wanted to share with you what are some things that I ate to sustain my energy. What are some things that I ate at the wedding? Did I drink alcohol? Saturday night was a very short night of sleep. So what are some things that I do to kind of make it through and feel good throughout the weekend? So during the wedding on Saturday, it was about a 3:00 wedding. And when we got there, I had already eaten lunch. So before I go somewhere, whether it's a party or, an event, I try to eat before I go so that I know that I'm not going to be starving once I get there to start the night off on a bad foot. And so I ate before I got there. And so once I got there, it was happy hour. The wedding was a short wedding. And so everyone was mingling, sampling appetizers, all that fun stuff. So my philosophy behind what I eat is eating lots of whole foods. So what that means is eating lots of veggies, lots of fruits, lots of poultry, meat, dairy, whole grains, beans, legumes, those kind of things. Things that come from nature, things that are as little processed as possible. So for example, if I'm buying oats, then I'm going to get the whole oat. I'm not going to get the instant oats because yes, that was a more processed form of the oats. So that is my goal when I eat. So if I am going to a wedding and there's samples and appetizers out, my body's not always familiar with eating that stuff. Is it bad food? No. But if I'm not used to having it daily, then if I go ahead and have it while at a wedding, chances are I might not feel good, get a stomach ache, who knows. So I just try to avoid it. So yes, I ate before I went. And so I was probably, I'm always hungry. So I was probably sustained until about 4 or 5. And then what? Was I going to pack my food going to a wedding? No, that's ridiculous. So when it came to dinner time, so let me backtrack a bit. During cocktail hour, there were drinks, of course, going around, and I'm not much of a drinker ever. I don't know why. I actually want to be more of a drinker than I am, but I'm just not. I always, say, oh, let's have a glass of wine, and I never end up drinking it. I always like the idea of martinis, and I never want them. So I just don't drink. But for whatever reason, there was my husband got this, what was it? Whiskey ginger ale, with like some lemon balm in it and some lemon or lime, and I tried his drink and I was like, wow, that's really good. Of course, right? Soda, of course, it's going to be good. But for whatever reason, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to order one myself. And I had it and it was delicious. And then I was like feeling fine. I just was enjoying myself. I was enjoying the moment. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't obsessing about, oh my God, you had a drink. And then I decided to have another drink. And the point that I'm trying to emphasize here is if you're eating something or if you're drinking something and you think that it's going to be bad for you. So let's say I was drinking this drink and I'm like, oh my God, Jamie, it's soda. Do you know how much sugar is in it? Do you know how you're going to feel? Do you know how crappy you're going to feel? You're not used to having this stuff. And so if that was going through my mind the whole time, then I probably would feel really guilty about it. And I believe that the mind is so smart that, your mind is controlling your cells. Like your cells are constantly like listening to what's going on in your head. This is no scientific podcast, but this is the way that I interpret things. Your body is very intelligent. It's constantly moving on autopilot. Your lungs are always breathing. Your heart is always beating. Your body wants to be well. Like wellness is dominant. It's constantly healing itself. And I believe, yes, what we feed our body is inevitably what is causing it to operate the way that it does, but also your mind has a huge, huge, huge influence on that. So I like to not really obsess too much about if I, go off track a bit. I'm not going to intentionally sabotage myself and say, yeah, let me eat all these appetizers. No. And plus that really doesn't appeal to me anyway, because I know, if there's a brownie or something, yeah, of course brownies are delicious, but I also know that I know how to make it in a healthier way. If it was a party where I was able to bring something to, I probably would have brought a tray of brownies, if I knew it was a party like that, like a Christmas party or something of the sort. But I'm not going to intentionally sabotage myself and have that if there's other options available. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much if I do decide to have an appetizer at a wedding. I might have 1 or 2 versus 4 or 5. And even if I decide to have 4 or 5, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. And I am working on making conscious efforts to say, this is what I'm choosing to have right now. I could have chosen not to eat or not to drink anything, but really, what's the fun in that? The goal is not to be on a diet, not to be restrictive, but add more good things in, add the good thoughts in, incorporate things instead of taking things away. When I decide to have an appetizer or have that drink, it's okay. This is life that we're living. Enjoy it. So I made a conscious effort to say, I'm choosing this drink. This is fine. I'm choosing to have a couple appetizers. That is fine. Now, with the appetizer spread that's out, there was pretzel hot dogs, or there was prosciutto and ham and veggie, roasted veggie tray. And so I make the smartest choices possible. I know that if I go off track and have like a lot of the gluten and the bread and the dairy, that will really upset my stomach. And the idea of a hot dog is not very appealing to me. So I opted to go for the sliced meats and also the veggies, the pickled and roasted veggies. And I also had, what else did I have? So I decided to go for those appetizers, and I also had a drink in hand. And I was enjoying myself. And so when it came to dinner time, dinner was out and I was hungry. And so what do? And I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or heard me say before, but recently I had gotten a food sensitivity test done, and it was by the ALCAT test. It was ALCAT, ALCAT test. And if you want more information on that, you can feel free to message me and find out how I got it done or who I got it done by. But I had gotten this ALCAT test done because I was having some irritation and like some weird symptoms going on. And so for as healthy as an eater that I am, I knew that there were some sensitivities that would have just gone undiagnosed because it was something that is rather healthy that I wouldn't have known to eliminate otherwise. The common culprits are typically, eggs or dairy or gluten or soy or peanuts, nuts, all that stuff. And I've eliminated those things before, but yet I was still experiencing these symptoms. And when your body has a sensitivity to something, it causes inflammation in the body. So that's the goal, to really eliminate the inflammation in your body. So anyway, I had gotten this ALCAT test done, and it told me that it revealed that I had a moderate sensitivity to like spinach and romaine lettuce and blueberries and almonds. So at this point, at home, I'm fine. Like, I'm working on eliminating those things. But honestly, the thought of all this is like, well, what the hell can I eat then? Like, it almost gets to a point where you're like, this is just crazy. So that's kind of how I was feeling at the wedding. And yeah, there was a salad option, a Caesar salad option, but I was like, I can't even have the romaine lettuce. Can't, in quotation marks. I can have whatever I want, but trying to follow this plan, I'm like, forget it. I just like threw in the towel. I'm like, I'm not going to stress myself out about this anymore. So the spread was out, similar to the appetizer spread. I wasn't going to sabotage myself and go for the Alfredo, but instead I went with the chicken. I have no idea what it was sauteed in or what it was marinated in, or it wasn't organic chicken. I had meatballs with tomato sauce, and tomato was one of the things that came up that I was slightly sensitive to. And I also had some of the pasta with sausage because I was hungry and I wanted to eat and I wanted to enjoy my brother's wedding, and because I was just kind of like a little fed up, honestly. And I also knew that we were at this wedding until about 11 o'clock at night. And we then had to drive home an hour and a half. So I had to sustain myself until about 12:30 at night. And I didn't think I would do that off of a couple pieces of chicken and a meatball. So I decided to have some of the pasta too. And I was just really conscious of it. I honestly probably wasn't thinking about it at all much. I think I worried for a couple seconds. I was like, oh, what if I poop? Like, what if I get a stomach ache? Like, what if my irritation comes up again, my rash? And so I put it aside, and I ate the food, and I ended up feeling fine. I drank enough water throughout the night. I ended up really feeling okay. And I really, truly believe that it was because I didn't obsess about it. And any food that you put in your mouth, whether it's a healthy food or not, whether it's a brownie you put in your mouth and you're like, oh, this is not good for me, I shouldn't be eating this, but you're eating it anyway, that's not going to be good for your body versus, this is something that I'm choosing to have. I'm going to enjoy this. My body is going to be fine because I grew up eating this stuff. Like, I don't know about you, but I grew up eating Lunchables. I grew up eating Twinkies. I grew up eating Fruity Pebbles. I don't know what the hell my parents were thinking, but, that was the best that they could do. And that's what I grew up eating. And you know what? I'm fine. My bones developed. my brain developed. I'm okay. Like, this food is not going to kill us. Well, that's another story actually, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the food is not the enemy here. I think your thoughts around the food that you put in your mouth it can be the enemy. So for example, right now, blueberries are on my list that I have to avoid. So blueberries could cause the same amount of damage that a brownie could if I give it the same energy. If I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be eating these blueberries because, they cause a sensitivity and I should be avoiding it. And wait, like, let me stare at the mirror and let me see if the rash reappears. And yeah, you know what? If you do that, it will reappear because you're going to drive yourself crazy and because you're going to then manifest it. So the goal is to really not think about it after I enjoyed the pasta, enjoyed the ginger and whiskey. I wasn't like, is my stomach going to hurt? Is my stomach going to hurt? Does my head hurt? No, because that will cause your head to hurt or your stomach to hurt. So just distract yourself if you're in that situation and you're subjected to maybe having something that you shouldn't have, or you want to indulge in something, just indulge in it. Just give yourself the opportunity to indulge in whatever it is that you feel like indulging in. If your brownies are your thing, clearly they're my thing because I keep talking about them. I love brownies, and I make a black bean brownies that are a great substitute. But if brownies are your thing, or cookies are your thing, or ice cream is your thing, and that makes you happy, then have that. Crowd out, like I talk about crowding out, that was a term that I picked up from the schooling that I went to, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. But they talk about like crowding out, like add in more of the good stuff. So add in more of the good stuff. Add in more of the fruit. If you have a sweet tooth, add more fruit in. If you have a savory tooth, add some more like roasted veggies or hummus or things like that in. And then if you still want the ice cream or the chips, then have that too. But chances are you're going to want that a little bit less. And then once you get the good food in your system, you're going to be craving that more. I remember the first time I ever had beet greens. Beet greens are like one of the most nutrient-dense foods. And I remember the first time I had them, I was craving them. I never even had these things before ever. And I was craving them like day after day, is because my body was so not used to having that kind of superfood or nutrient in my body that it was like, give me more. Your body's constantly talking to you. You have to listen to it. So when you're getting cravings, whether it's for something sweet or not, there's ways to work around it. And these are things that I do in my coaching. Like, I get to the bottom, to the root cause of the craving. And there's many different reasons for different cravings, but give your body a chance, listen to it, and see what it is that it wants from you. So as a final note about what it is that I consumed during the wedding and how I dealt with it, is that the next day is a big thing. So women, we are so quick to beat ourselves up. We're like, great. Well, I had the soda in my drink, and then I had pasta. I might as well just go and have cake now too. And if you want cake, great, go and have cake. But be aware of what it is that you're doing. That's the point here, that you don't want to beat yourself up about having what it is you're having. You don't want to be like, oh, I shouldn't be having this pasta. Just have the pasta so that you're not feeling guilty about it, and so that you don't need to indulge then further because you're like, I screwed up already. I might as well screw up some more. So you want to be aware of that. You're not doing anything wrong. And that even goes for the next day. Do not drag the fact that you had soda and pasta or cake into the next day. Do not even think about it. There's a moment when you wake up and you have the option to choose what kind of path or what kind of day you're going to have. And you can remember like, oh crap, like you can wake up and you can say, all right, I'm going to try not to remember what it is that I indulge in. I'm going to just focus on right now in this moment, because there's nothing that I can do about yesterday or a second earlier. So I'm just going to think, what can I do in this moment to be the best version of myself that I want to be? So what would my ideal version of myself be doing in this moment? Don't take that into the next day. So you wake up and you choose a positive thought. Start off your day on the right foot and do something that your ideal self would do. So wake up. If your regular routine is to have your coffee, have your coffee. If your regular routine is to wake up, have your lemon water. Do your normal thing. Don't try to sabotage yourself because you messed up the night before. Don't try to beat yourself up either and get double sessions into the gym. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't give yourself a break. Give your body a break. Your body, again, is trying to do its best. You're trying to do your best. So just give yourself a break. Enjoy the pasta and the alcohol and the soda and the cake if you choose to at a wedding. Don't feel guilty about it. And we're all human and we're all just doing our best, okay? So that was what I kind of did at this wedding. I wanted to share that with you just because I know that I had gotten some questions about it. And I also know that I recently shared that I had gotten this allergy sensitivity test done, and you're probably thinking, how did you manage all that? And the way that I managed it is by being human and doing what humans do, which is enjoying decadent food at a wedding. And tomorrow is always a new day. After this wedding, I made sure I stayed hydrated. I drove home that night, so I wasn't drunk or anything. I had those 2 drinks, and then that was at 3 p.m., and then I was there until 11, so don't worry, I was fine driving home. I made sure I stayed hydrated. I didn't get too much sleep since I had to be up early the next morning for a very exciting event to meet all you babes. But, stay hydrated. I didn't go to sleep thinking, oh, great, I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. That's going to suck. No, I was like, you know what? I'm going to feel good in the morning. This is fine. This is part of the journey, guys. I mean, you at any moment have the option to choose a positive thought or a negative thought. And that's it. I know some people disagree. I know it's hard to kind of take into account, especially when you're not feeling great or in a bad mood. But yes, in every second, in every moment, you have the option to choose whether you'll be in a good mood or you'll be in a crappy mood, whether you want to continue fighting with someone or not continue fighting with someone, whether you want to decide that you're going to have a good day or a bad day. It's in your hands. Your life and the way it unfolds is in your hands. I know that there are some circumstances that suck and that are dealt with us, but I honestly believe that we are not dealt anything that we cannot handle, and that we're meant to go through and have these occurrences happen in our life. So that is that, guys. I feel like I may be ranting a bit, so I hope not. But I just wanted to get these points across. I want you to understand that you're human, I'm human. We're all just doing our best, and we're all just living this journey on this weird ride of life. And I want to really just do it all together. We're doing this together. I am no different than you. You are no different than me. We are a community, and that is why I'm creating this group of women, and to show you that this doesn't have to be hard. Eating well does not have to be hard. Living a simple, balanced life does not have to be hard. Reaching goals in life does not have to be hard. Being happy does not have to be hard. These things are hard if you make them hard or complicated, but I really just want to give you the tools through this podcast, through my cookbook, and through my coaching that this is all doable, this is manageable, and you can do it. So that is really it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing about a sneak peek into my weekend there. And if you like this episode, I would love to have you write a rating or review over on iTunes. And the way to do that is so you would have to go and search in the search bar. You have to search Busy to Balance, the title of the podcast. And then once you search it, you'll see my photo pop up. You'll see all the available episodes, and then underneath that, you have to slide all the way to the bottom to see the option to give me a star rating and leave me a review. So I would really, really appreciate that. That really helps, and I will be catching you all next week. Bye, guys.